telling you that Ivan the Fourth. That Ivan the Fourth is no good. That Ivan the Fourth, he's terrible. I dare say it. I dare say it. Ivan the Fourth basically makes me want to say the House of Rurik, get the hell out of here. Ivan the Terrible, I don't want to know about the House of Rurik. Don't talk to me about the goddamn House of Rurik. The House of fucking Ivan the Terrible? Are you fucking kidding me? I'd much rather have the House of Romanov over the goddamn House of Rurik. Them fucking Swedish fucking Vikings. Oh, we're Vikings from Sweden. We're Vikings from Sweden. We come to conquer. Fuck you. Anastasia Zakharina married Ivan the Fourth. Could you imagine the goddamn courage and willpower? Desperation. It had to be desperation on Anastasia's part, but that's the rise of the House of Romanov. That was a rise of the House of Romanov. Anastasia Zakharina. She's the first Tsarita of Russia. In 1547, she's going to get married. She's going to get a crown. So she's just doing okay in 1547. She's going to have 6 kids. Yeah, with the terrible, but she's going to get killed too 13 years later. But probably by Ivan the Fourth's, own court and his nobles. At least he blamed his own people. But that actually was notorious for Ivan. Was it the people that did it? Nah, I bet it was my own people. I bet it was Novgorod. I better go kill everybody in Novgorod. That's what Ivan the Fourth. Anytime Ivan the Fourth had a fucking problem, he was just like, that's like why he killed Ivan the Fifth. It was over an argument about just going around killing people in Novgorod. It's like, hey, I'm just going to go kill people. No, don't. But I got to. Get out of my way. So Ivan the Fifth actually is a martyr for the Novgorodian people. And if Novgorod is the fatherland of the Rus, how the fuck could Ivan the Terrible kill the shit out of everybody in Novgorod the way he did? For what, 40 days straight? Maybe if Anastasia would have stayed living, maybe he wouldn't have been so terrible. Or maybe he would have been worse. Who the hell knows? Romanov used to be called Yakovlev, but they changed their name during the reign of Ivan the Terrible. The former family became known as Yakovlev. Alexander Herzin among them, whereas grandchildren of Roman Yuryevich, Zakharyan, Yuryev changed their name to Romanov. Ivan IV, he lives up to his moniker. He is terrible. I'm telling you, that goddamn Ivan IV, that goddamn Ivan IV is fucking terrible. I'm telling you. He vented his frustration on animals and birds. He's killing them, skinning them, piercing their eyes. He's like Jeffrey Dahmer on fucking crack. He's like the rule of the boyars. I mean, he had a tough childhood. These fucking boyars are just abusing the shit out of him. But then when he's 13 years old, he just throws Prince Andrew Shusky into the dogs. Like literally just feeds him to the dogs. And then nobody said shit after he did that. And he was like, well, fuck, I was allowed to do that the whole time. That's news to me. I didn't know I could just throw Prince Andrew Shusky into the goddamn pit of the fucking dogs. And if I would have known that, then God, I wouldn't have been so pissed off all them years. But having the terrible childhood turned Ivan the Terrible into a cruel human being. It was normal for him to beat up people, to rape women, and to throw animals from the walls of the Kremlin. He did unspeakable things to rape victims. He would bang his head against the floor of the court. Ivan was nicknamed Grozny, which is the capital of Chechnya, which is interesting, meaning formidable, sparking terror or fear. So the terrorist, okay, Ivan the terrorist, not the terrible, but the terrorist or the formidable. Ivan the Strong and Formidable. I mean, maybe Russia's a terrible, horrible place. Maybe the only way that you could run fucking Russia is by being in Ivan the Terrible. I don't fucking know. This is what, back in the 1600s, 1500s? Just a long time ago. Anastasia and Ivan had 6 kids, of which only 2 survived. One of his sons, Dmitri, drowned in a river as a toddler. After his nurse dropped him, his eldest son became a victim of Ivan's rage. On November 15th, 1581, Ivan IV got angry with his pregnant daughter-in-law, so he beat her up, caused her to have a miscarriage. He killed the fetus. He killed his future grandchild in an argument about the same issue. Ivan the Terrible struck his son in the head with an iron rod, and he's going to fall into a coma and eventually die. Ivan IV killed Ivan V. But Ivan IV, he felt bad. Ivan the Terrible cried. He held Ivan V and said, "What have I done?" He banged his head against his son's coffin, right, to show how much he cared. I mean, he was really torn up. Yeah, sure, Ivan V died, but how come you don't think about how Ivan IV felt? Throughout his life, Ivan the Terrible married 8 times, had 8 kids, 6 of them with, Anastasia, and one with another, and one with another. And then Dmitri is going to be the last one, but Dmitri is going to get strangely killed. The Soviet theory about the ancient Rus is that both the Ukrainians and the Belarusians are the ancient Russians in Russia, but then Soviets changed the theory to Russia is actually the older, father, the brother of the Russians, and they had to give advice to the, other inferior Slavic nations of Belarus and Ukraine. So that's convenient. How fucking convenient. How goddamn convenient. Belarus and Ukraine are the original Slavic people, and Russia's the Muscovites. Peter the Great, his father's a Muscovite. Ivan the Terrible's a Muscovite. Number 3, Ivan 3, Ivan 4, Ivan... hell, Ivan V could have been the good one, but that's why he had to kill Ivan V, right? He wasn't, "Oh, you're not terrible." Ivan V is a sweetheart. And then, of course, Peter the Grape's mother's a Tartar. A Tartar, or a Tatar. His mother's a tater. His mother's a hamster. So October 1582, his father's latest wife bore a son, Dmitri of Uglich, who was Feodor's only surviving sibling. 1584, Feodor I Ivanovich takes the throne after Ivan IV dies. Feodor I, this is going to be the last of the Rurik Dynasty. Feodor I is a pious but lethargic king. Ivan the Terrible died March 1584. Feodor became Tsar 2 months later. May 31st, 1584, he's crowned Tsar, autocrat of Russia, at the Dormitian Cathedral. Dormitian Cathedral in Moscow. 1598, Feodor the Bell Ringer. I mean, that's pretty terrible. You're the king, and the only thing people know you about is you ring the bell. He likes ringing that bell. Every time he comes into town, he rings the bell. Does he bring us any goddamn provisions or infrastructure, any goddamn fucking fertilizer, like a promise, a good speech? Maybe he could inspire the people to... No, just rings the fucking bell. Motherfucker, anybody could ring a fucking bell. Quasimodo ring a bell. Who the fuck is this Feodor? Oh, he died. 1598, he dies. The House of Rurik is no more. It holds the throne no more. Ivan IV had 6 children from Feodor's mother, but all of his older siblings had died except for Ivan V, who was killed by Ivan IV, leaving Feodor. Boris Godunov is going to be the guy who actually runs Feodor's life. And after it, too, Feodor is childless. In his marriage, there's no children. So therefore, Boris Godunov runs the affairs, not only of Feodor's administration, but then he takes over After Dmitry had already died, Fyodor's dead. This is Russia's descent into the catastrophic time of troubles. So in between the house of Rurik and the house of Romanov is the time of troubles. Feodor I was barely a nominal ruler. Basically, you had Boris Godunov, who legitimized himself after Ivan IV's death as a de facto regent for the weak and disabled Feodor. Fyodor's failure to sire other children brought an end to the centuries-old central branch of the Rurik dynasty. Now, this is just like the War of the Austrian Succession, 1740 to 1748. This is the last great power conflict with the Bourbon Habsburgs dynastic conflict at its heart. So the Habsburgs versus the Bourbons. Fuck them both, huh? Fuck them both. Fucking families, royal fucking families. Motherfucker, we got Hatfields and McCoys. That's how we do royal families around here, motherfuckers. Bourbon and Habsfield. Bourbon and Habsburg. Oh, I'm a Habsburgs. Well, I'm a Bourbon. Oh, yeah. So the War of Austrian Succession had happened in 1740 because you're going to have the fucking king die. Emperor Charles VI is going to die, and he gave the crown to his eldest daughter because he had no sons. His son had died. He had 3 daughters. He gave it to the eldest daughter, which is, correct. That would be the person who would, carry the goddamn property. But the other kingdoms was like, that's a woman. That's a woman. That's not a king. That's a queen. And so they immediately attacked Austria, saying, you ain't shit. The related conflicts is King George's War, the War of Jenkins' Ear, the First Carnatic War, First and Second Silesian Wars. The pretext for the wars, Maria Theresa's right to inherit her father, Emperor Charles VI's crown, and the Habsburg monarchy. Wait a second. Maria Theresa? That's not a man at all. Queen? A queen isn't a king? That's totally different genitalia. That's a different gender. France, Prussia, and Bavaria really saw it as an opportunity to challenge the Habsburg power. Okay, there it is. It's like, we'll just say it's about her being a woman, but really we want to steal Austria because, they're powerful. So France and Prussia, Bavaria, they want to fucking steal the Habsburg power. And whoever them damn Bourbons are, probably drunk with bourbon. Maria Theresa's backed by Britain, the Dutch Republic, and Hanover, which are collectively known as the Pragmatic Allies. As the conflict widened, it drew in other participants, among them Spain, Sardinia, Saxony, Sweden, and Russia. And Russia! There they are again. There they are again. The Ukrainification of the world. Locals continued calling themselves Russians while referring to the future Russians as Muscovites. Russia so goddamn big anyways. Why is Russia so goddamn big? Ukraine is number 2 in size in all of Europe if you include goddamn Russia. 46 million souls. There's 46 million souls in the Ukraine. More about Ivan IV coming up.